The storm was getting worse. The radio crackled with an order to turn back. The seals should have obeyed. But then the smallest puppy lifted its head and cried. That single sound changed everything, and set in motion a chain of events no one could undo. The blizzard came down like a wall, thick and merciless, swallowing the road and the trees until the world became nothing but white. Petty Officer First Class Daniel Reeve moved carefully, every step measured. Years of training had taught him how to survive in impossible conditions, but this storm was different. It wasn't tactical. It wasn't an enemy he could see. It was cold, endless, and cruel. He had been part of a winter survival training exercise in the mountains when the call came in: possible civilian missing near an abandoned service road. Most teams had already pulled back. Visibility was nearly zero. The smart move was to retreat. Daniel didn't. As he scanned the snowbank beside the road, something dark caught his eye. At first, he thought it was debris. Then it moved. He approached slowly, heart pounding, and knelt down. It was a woman. She was curled in on herself, face blue with cold, hair stiff with ice. Her coat was thin, far too thin for this weather. But what made Daniel's breath catch were the three tiny shapes pressed against her chest. Puppies. Newborn or close to it. Their bodies trembled violently, their weak cries barely audible over the wind. The woman's eyes fluttered open when he touched her shoulder. "Don't take them," she whispered, her voice cracking like frozen glass. "They're all I have left." Daniel swallowed hard. He wrapped his thermal blanket around all of them, lifting her carefully. One of the puppies whimpered louder now, and she tightened her grip instinctively. "My name is Mara," she said faintly. "I tried to get them somewhere warm. I really tried." Daniel carried them back through the storm, every muscle burning, every step heavier than the last. He had carried wounded soldiers before. Men trained for war. This felt different. This felt fragile. Human. Breakable. At the temporary shelter, medics rushed in. The puppies were placed near a heat source. Mara was put on oxygen. Daniel stood back, watching, unable to move, unable to look away. Hours passed. One of the puppies didn't make it. Mara woke screaming. Daniel had seen grief on battlefields. This was worse. She held the tiny, lifeless body in her hands, rocking back and forth, whispering apologies. Daniel learned her story piece by piece. She had escaped an abusive home months ago. Lived in her car. Lost it when it broke down during the storm. The puppies were born to a stray she had rescued, who died days earlier. "They needed me," she said through tears. "So I stayed." That night, as the storm raged on, Daniel realized something unsettling. This mission wasn't over. It had just begun. Daniel thought saving them from the storm was the hardest part. He was wrong. Because the real battle began when the world turned its back on them, and he had to choose between orders and his heart. Mara recovered slowly. Frostbite claimed 2 of her fingers. The remaining puppies were weak but alive. When Daniel visited the shelter after his shift ended, he always found her sitting near them, humming softly, even when her hands shook from pain. One night she told him the song she sang was her mother's. Her mother had died when Mara was a teenager. After that, everything fell apart. "I keep losing things," she said quietly. "People. Homes. Hope." Daniel didn't know how to answer. SEALs were trained to act, not comfort. But he stayed. Sometimes silence was enough. When the shelter announced it would be closing temporarily due to funding, panic set in. Social services offered Mara placement, without the dogs. The puppies would be sent to a different facility. Mara refused. "If they go, I go," she said flatly. Daniel argued. Pleaded. Even raised his voice once. Then one of the puppies collapsed. Daniel carried it to the vet himself, waiting outside like a scared child. When the vet finally came out and said the puppy would survive, Daniel sat down on the floor and cried. He didn't even try to stop himself. That night, he made a decision. He filed paperwork. took leave, broke rules he had followed his entire career. He found a small cabin owned by a retired veteran friend. Brought Mara and the puppies there himself. It wasn't easy. Healing never is. Mara learned to trust again. Slowly. The puppies grew stronger. One morning, as snow melted outside, Mara stood on the porch and smiled. For real this time. You saved us, she said. Daniel shook his head. No, he replied. You survived. I just showed up. Months later, Daniel returned to duty. But something in him had changed. He wrote to Mara often. She wrote back with photos, of the dogs, of the garden she started, of a life rebuilding itself piece by piece. On his final letter before deployment, she wrote one line that stayed with him forever. The storm didn't take us. It gave us a reason to live. And Daniel understood then. Strength isn't always found in weapons or training. Sometimes it's found in holding on. Even when the world is frozen around you.